Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to Best Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Tuesday. Tuesday is request day. Today's map was requested by Dylan in the comments. Thank you very much, Dylan. I'm not sure if this was Dylan's own making or a map that they were playing or one they just wanted to see reviewed. But we're going to have a look at it one way or another because it's a real-life location and they are always popular. Now, apparently it's 100% accurate, which, considering that,
it's my first map,
is quite something very special indeed. I'm looking forward to a 100% accurate map. Of course, we'll be using Google Earth to check a couple of features to see just how accurate those features are. Now, before we do any of that, though, we do have something that I like to call the daily reminder. Well, you do need reminding. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for that support. Today's map is Wollongong by Darvos. Now this is Australia, not doing the accent because I simply can't. Now as somebody who's actually in the middle of a Australian build myself at the moment, they should start square. Yeah, got the highway just nudging into there and the rail running through it. Double bonus, lovely. Terrain heights look like this, which is all very nice as well. Real life, real life, real life. And what about the resources in terms of a 25 tile game? Definitely everything in place there. Can't complain about that either. Off to if you have Sunset Harbour, I need to send to workshop, but Sunset Harbour, if you have Sunset Harbour, you want to see the fishing map. It looks a little bit digitised in the ocean there. Okay, off to the workshop. What do you need? The answer is nothing. It's 100% vanilla. It's a Wollongong, Australia, beaches, dramatic mountains, 100% accurate. Now, I would scroll down further and show you the comments, but there are words such as and farkin and lawnmower, and I don't want you hearing any of those. But you can always go to the workshop and check yourself if you're grown up. Okay? And I did actually bleep those words out because I was a very naughty boy and said them. Shocking. So shocking. Right, okay, let's have a look at the highways. First map, so we're expecting intermediate standards. I think there's a polite way of putting it. We will be seeing a little bit of glitching along the sides of the roads, like that and that, just like there is in Wollongong, and a little bit of blue mantle possibly, maybe more likely to see some blue mantle under here. Home of the blue mantle is Wollongong. Yes, seems to be a very popular place in terms of the comments, the responses in the comments. These F-bombs and C-bombs in the comments, they were positive. They weren't, oh my god, this is the an F awful map or anything like that. No, these were people going, yeah, F this, you're doing my hometown. This is good. This is exactly the kind of reaction I need. Now, we are going to see intermediate standards today, so hopefully Darvos, you've got a good sense of humour when I do pick on a couple of things here and there. We'll have a bit of a giggle, a bit of tongue-in-cheek British humour, if that's okay with you. I know you kicked us out more or less a little while ago, but something to do with being a republic now, aren't you? Good for you. Good for you. Quite right too, I tell you. Right, where were we? Highways. Yeah, not too much to talk about. They do, well, this particular highway does follow, if you're looking from the top down, the actual route of the highway. I think at this location it's 2 lanes rather than 3, but as we're playing without DLC, 3 lanes is as accurate as you're gonna get. Now, don't look at the rail here. We will be looking at the rail a bit later on, and trust me, that's probably the least interesting point of the rail. As we're going to do the flyby on the rail, we will have some fun with the rail a bit later on. The rail is really hard, especially in non-perfectly flat maps. You've got to be particularly well skilled and a lot of experienced map creator or Cities Skylines player, full stop, to do a realistic or believable rail line. And I think it's fair to say that intermediate skills in first maps aside, Darvos is a little bit short on that, but the highways they're okay, and most of that glitching that we saw was actually outside of the 25 tiles, so does it really matter? Does it? Oh, you tell me. Okay, Start Square intersection is it's not a vanilla wishbone, it's a hand-built wishbone. Look at that. That's okay, really. For hand built and possibly with vanilla tools, that's not too bad. Admittedly, it does go very high there, and we do have a bit of a down and then a back up here, and we can say how gloriously splendid that intersection. look, okay, this ramp here, down ramp, if it stayed level, that probably would have just about got away with it, but it's a bit bumpy. I think bumpy is a bit of an understatement, but anyway, that's that one. Now, the next intersection, again, based on the real-life intersection, 100% accurate. I have got a Google top-down view of this intersection, which I'll show you as soon as we get above it here. You tell me, is this a 100% accurate recreation? I think the answer is absolutely yes. Couldn't have got closer. Couldn't have got closer at all. So anyway, shall we go? I think we'll go straight on rather than going off the edge of the map, because we'll come back down that route when we start following the rail in a moment. That follows more or less parallel with the highway. Now, I haven't really looked at the realistic climb that this hill would be making. Oh, it's not. You know what? It's not too bad. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, but it's not too bad compared to how it could well have been. And I reckon there was quite a bit of time spent trying to get this road to climb up the side of the hill cleanly there. We need to introduce Darvos to some mods, I think. That would certainly make their job a lot easier on that sort of build. Anyway, up to the edge of the map there. So let's go and have a look at the rail. Now, there's something to be said about the rail. First of all, it is a bit bouncy and a bit uppy-downy, and far from the best rail line we've ever seen. But in terms of route, it does run alongside the highway. And we're going to see in a minute a bridge where the rail goes over the road, and I'm going to ask you how you would have best handled this bridge. Then I'll give you a third suggestion as to how the bridge should have been handled. But yeah, in terms of the geology, it's not far off. I mean, clearly taken from a terrain height map, but it's not been handled that badly for a first map, so a little bit of credit there. But here's this bridge. Now, admittedly, it's awful. We have very steep ramps up on both sides, and we'll see I think there's a train coming, which we'll have a little look at the train in a moment. But yes, question is, how would you handle this? Would you have gone straight with the highway going over it, or would you have done a long, slow, progressive climb? So this train here would be climbing up a long, slow ramp instead of having to do what is this? Would it have been a long, slow, progressive climb up and over? Or would you have done the highway up and over? Or there is a third option. And this is the one that they took in real life. Are you ready for this? The rail comes along here. And then instead of going up and over, or down and under, it stays on this side of the highway. I've no idea at all why Darvos has gone up and over the highway, because a 100% accurate recreation, it would have stayed on the, I'm going to say the south side. I'm not sure which way we're facing here, but it would have stayed on this side of the highway anyway. So I don't know. What were you doing, Darvos? What are you doing? Have you ever been to Wollongong? Of course you have. Of course you have. You know it better than I do. But yes, I think that's probably it in terms of... oh no, I think we'll have one more look at Google Earth a bit later on. Something else will pop up at some point, probably. Anyway, the rail comes around this way. I don't even... at this point, I'm not exactly sure what route the rail takes. I'm assuming it's roughly in this direction. No, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's 100% in this direction. This bridge, no idea. Again, without going into Google, I'm not checking Google again on that one. I think there's a limit to the amount. Okay, I think we've accepted that it's a pretty good recreation, if maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek. 100% accurate. I think that's probably fair, actually, on Darvos, to say it was a tongue-in-cheek jibe, a little joke at their own expense, and good for them. Good for them, if that's exactly what it is. Now, I've got to show you this rail line here. It gets a little bit uppy down. I think we'll speed it up a little bit. How about that? There you go. A little bit of high-speed rail. You might want to look away now if you're just eating your breakfast. because this is going to be a bumpy ride, and if anything comes the other way, we better watch out. Oh, that could have been dangerous. But anyway, yes, as we are heading up along the edge of the mountain, these are tough routes anyway. I'm not sure, again, without checking Google, exactly what route this takes. I'm hoping it goes up into the mountains somehow. But yeah, it's not pretty, and we've even got more King of the Blue Mantle underneath there as well. All good. All good. I think it's spectacular. Certainly a spectacular line. And then off towards the edge, which means we'll take a very brief intermission.
Wouldn't it be great if Cities Skylines had tides within the game? Well, now it does, thanks to TPB's Tides mods. Want to know more? Then you need BonBonB's Tides tutorial. Click the information button below.
And back to Wollongong by Darvos and the shipping routes. Shipping routes, like, they go where you need them to. They do bend in and out a lot, but to be honest with you, you won't really be watching the ship. Oh, right angle turns. Okay, right angle turns. You won't really be watching the shipping while you're playing this map. You'll be only concerned that the ships will reach your harbour, and basically wherever you put your harbour, you'll be really happy that ships will come to it. But it's not a very slick route. Oh, and another right angle turn. Woohoo! Just what we needed. Off towards the edge of the map. And then water flow. Do we have any water movement on the start square? Let's come down to the coast, have a little look, and yes, we've got a few arrows there. It's not strong, but it will absolutely do. You'll be quite happy. Just make sure you put the pumping one side and the draining on the other, because there'll be issues. Get it right, otherwise you'll have dead bodies. We have it's a really good shape map. It's a very nice shape map. So again, all credits for choosing this location. And in terms of the beaches, I mean, we're talking vanilla here, so we are using the realistic 1.2 light and the vanilla temperate theme. I forgot to mention. The beaches could do a little bit of fine tuning and smoothing here and there, and it's, again, it does look like a first map, and we've seen way worse than this. So if you're going to say, oh, this is awful, please don't be kind to the comments, because it's not awful. There are things that need polishing. There really are. Look at the mountains. Let's have a little look at the trees on the mountains. Random tree brush mostly across most of it, I would suggest. Nothing great, exciting going on. Do have these lines going on here, which is obviously from the terrain brush. Makes it look a little bit like vineyards. And I know they do grow wine in Australia. Whether or not they grow wine in this part of Australia, I literally do not know. But I think it looks very aesthetically eye-catching. But whether it's realistic or not, I'm guessing it's more by luck than judgment. Also, that ugly-looking mountain there you go. Let's have a Google. That is what it looks like. It's close, isn't it? It's pretty close. So, yeah, credit. Absolutely credit for an attempt. Anyway, let's before we get to the end of the show, have a look at something really glorious. The very latest from MrMaison. Now, I know we're in Australia, but this is the Norway maple. This is the latest tree creation from our favourite botanist. And, well, look, how can you not want to subscribe to this other than having 10 trillion trees already? Really lovely work. And factoids, because factoids, I've got a pretty quick one for you today. I couldn't find I've just found my factoid book. It's under my paper. But yeah, yes, we'll do one off of the interweb for a change. Another hashtag symbol. Technically, it is called an octothorpe. Octothorpe, the real name for the hashtag symbol. And there you go, Norway Maple by MrMaison. A really lovely tree, and definitely well worth subscribing to. Thank you very much for that one, MrMaison. Oh, we've got a few more seconds. Shall we slow it down? And Norway Maple by MrMaison. A very lovely tree there, and the asset of the day. That's good timing, isn't it? Comic timing. Anyway, Wollongong by Darvos. What do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the viewer's choice top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button now. It takes you to the voting page where you can vote for free. But what do I think of today's map? Well, aesthetically, this is the one I had the most difficulty trying to gauge. It don't look great, but it does look like the location. So I'm thinking what I've got to do is I've got to credit it a little bit. I'm going to give it a 3, but it's going to be a low one. It's a low 3. Detailing needs quite a bit of work. The fact that the highway, etc. do seem to follow the route of real life, I think we're going to give a bit of credit for that. But it's still only a 2-star map for detail. Gameplay potential. I think this is playable. Again, for a vanilla style play, I think you'd be quite happy with it, especially if it's your first city build on my first map as well. I've got to give it 3 stars. I'm going to give it just under a middle 3 because there is quite a lot of fiddling about and cleaning up that you might want to do if it isn't your first city build, which it probably isn't. Wollongong by Darvos. My first map aside, it's all right. It's got the bones of a good map going on here. And again, more experienced Darvos on the 3rd or 4th map. I think we'd have a much nicer build there and something to look forward to. So keep it up, Darvos. Keep it up. Anyway, I think we're about done. Thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. If you are still here, you are part of the 20 and out elite, our secret society. Use the words of the day for 100 population points, just for fun. Keep your own scores into the comments. Try and use it as part of a sentence rather than just a word on its own, because that's just a bit boring. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.